I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself at the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Slick Rick helping us get through the morning here on a Thursday morning. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Still to come on this show, Stugotz will join us in a few minutes. Stephen A. Smith will join us from the Stephen A. Smith Show to talk about the nominal halfway point, according to our producer, Stanzik, a word you hate of the NBA season. And Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Really looking forward to talking to Sean. Really big win for them against Carolina Sunday at home, but now they take on a very tough Minnesota team.
Seems to be the matchup that everybody is kind of pointing to, and it's the last one of the weekend, as just a matchup of that offense against that Minnesota defense. I know all the games obviously hold some interest and some intrigue, especially Jacksonville again going to Pittsburgh, who they beat earlier this season. With Antonio Brown, it looks practiced full yesterday. Looks like he is. They say it looks like he's never been injured, so that's great news for Pittsburgh. But, man, there's just something about that New Orleans-Minnesota matchup that has really got my juices flowing here.
Well, you know, the Vikings may be the most complete team left in the playoffs. Yep. They really might be from top to bottom. But, you know, the X factor is this is Case Keenum's first playoff start.
Yes, it is.
And he's played great the entire season and has earned everything that has come his way, and he'll earn a monster contract when this season is done. But, again, this is an unknown charter for him, and we'll see how that plays out going forward. We'll get into all that a little bit later, but let's start with what's trending. And it's more NFL news, and it's a family affair in Carolina.
Yes, it is.
Norv Turner, legendary coach in the NFL, especially when it comes to offensive coordinator, is formalizing a deal to be the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers.
And I know Norv has been the head coach of a few teams. He's at 65, I believe, and a lot of people are saying, you know, kind of what's the deal to now run that offense and coach Cam Newton. Well, he has helped develop quarterbacks like Troy Aikman, Phillip Rivers, and Drew Brees, so pretty good track record for Norv from that side of it. Why Trey said the family affair? Well, his son Scott, who had been in college at Michigan and before that Minnesota coaching quarterbacks, is joining Norv and will be the quarterback coach in Carolina. Also already there is Norv's brother Ron, who is an offensive consultant, and Norv's nephew Cameron, who is an assistant quarterback coach. So a lot of Turners are going to be in Carolina. And one other quick coaching note, just because, you know, I know him and I've seen him in action. I think very highly of him. Harry Hiestand was signed by the
Bears,
by Matt Nagy, the head coach there, as one of the first hires there from the position standpoint of the offensive line coach. He's been the O-line coach at Notre Dame for a number of years, and I've seen a lot of O-line coaches and the way they've gone about their business in college and the pros, and this is one of the best I've ever seen at that, is from his teaching standpoint of what he does. And he's tough. He's hard. There's no doubt about that. But you're better for being coached by him. I think it's a big loss for Notre Dame and a big gain for Chicago. He did have a stint with the Bears before, and then was at Notre Dame, and now is going back to Chicago. So I think that's definitely going to help that O-line. He's a hell of a coach, hell of a good guy.
We may have two Notre Dame offensive linemen going in the first round.
That's exactly right. Quentin Nelson and Michael Glinchey, yeah.
And they won didn't they win the?
They won the Joe Moore Award, yeah, for the best offense. It's one of the great trophies out there. I think the trophy weighs
enormous.
350 pounds. Yeah. It has 5 offensive linemen in the trophy. It's monstrous. It's a great award, and for a position that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition as a group.
Absolutely. So I agree. That was a home run hire.
Yep.
If you're a Bears fan, you're like, okay, Matt Nagy gets it. He understands.
Yep. Yeah.
Nicely done. We continue. Well, then there's the Cleveland Browns, and, you know, they had their parade over the weekend to the perfect 0-16 season, and a lot of people didn't like it, but there was something good that came out of this, and at the end of the day, if that's what happens, then fine, it was worth it.
Exactly right. They showed over 2,500, 3,000 people showed up to this thing. Again, from a former player standpoint, I would not be a fan of it, but if these fans wanted to do it, and they did it, Cleveland.com's Hayden Grove reported that the event raised more than $17,000 for the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. So that alone right there makes something worth it. when you're going to, when something like that, when that money is going to be raised for a good cause like that. So, interesting way to get there, but they got there. They got that money going to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, so it's a good thing.
At the end of the day, the fans got a little release of their frustration.
Yes, they did, yeah.
And something went to a good cause, so really, can you be that upset about it? Some people in Cleveland are. We understand how the players are, but just know something good came out of it when it's all said and done. And speaking of something good, surprise at Pittsburgh Steelers practice this Wednesday, as linebacker Ryan Shazier made his first appearance, and it was great to see him there. Yeah,
and his father had said, remember a few days back, that he had been getting feeling in his legs. He was at practice. He's in a wheelchair. But this is what Shazier said. He said, I want to thank the Lord for the first down that it has been allowing me to achieve. The touchdown is going to come in his timing, but today was a first down. I was finally able to make it to practice with my teammates. It's great to be back for practices and meetings. Just to be able to feel part of it means the world. So I'm working harder than I ever have to get back. I've been making strides over the past month and continue to make progress, taking it day by day, but I'm far from done. So just to see the smile on his face in the wheelchair at practice, back with the fellas again, what a great moment that had to be for all of them.
Oh, it certainly was, and you can see what it meant to the Steelers just to see him there. The way they all came over and interacted with him and talked to him. And again, the other positive development here is that he has feeling in his legs again, so things are trending in the right direction. And he finished up that Instagram post with what has been a very popular thing in Pittsburgh these days, #Shaleeve, as in believe in Ryan Shazier, and we wish nothing but the best for him as he goes forward. But it was so great to see him back there at the facility. Okay, we continue here on Golic and Wingo, and as we do every Thursday, we're joined by Stugotz from the Dan Levitar Show with Stugotz. He's ready for us. And Stu, we started this show today talking about something that Conor McGregor has done, basically renting out an amusement park for family and friends because he could. Yeah. He had the funds and he wanted to do it. And I understand
Trey, you could do that. I mean, come on, Trey.
No, I don't have Stugotz money. So I'm trying to figure out what you would do if you had the opportunity. What would you do?
I would rent out Augusta National. Trey, I know you'd love that. And I'd invite you, Trey Wingo. I would not invite Golic because Golic doesn't like golf the way he would not appreciate that the way you and I would appreciate. I know you're in, Trey. Golic, I love you. You know this, okay? But you would not appreciate Augusta National the way I would, the way Trey would, the way many people in my family would, many people, my friends, many people who run in my circle. That sounds like such a ridiculous statement coming from me, running in my circle. But listen, Golic, you just wouldn't appreciate it. And Trey, here's the funny thing. There's no way Augusta National is going to allow itself to be rented out for a day by a dope like me.
Well, listen, we understand that. That's why the hypotheticals are the best things in radio, as you full well know. And I'm with you. I wouldn't want to take up a spot from someone who would truly appreciate it because I would be worried about where my next beer is coming from rather than what hole I was playing or could care less. So you're right about that. But it's been great. People have been unreal with some of the – but Augusta has probably been the number one play for most people. But most of the things have involved alcohol, though.
That's the one thing we have a common denominator with. Absolutely. Yeah. But still, it's just running through my mind now of what would happen if this actually were to transpire. And all I can think of is Cousin Eddie showing up at Clark's house for Christmas in the trailer as we all show up to play Augusta, right? The Green Jackets would lose it. They would absolutely lose it. Oh.
Wait till they get a hold of my friends.
Exactly. You didn't meet the dog. He's got the blank, so he had to sleep in the barn. I mean, that's the scenario that's playing through my head. Yes. So, I can't shake that image now. That's all I'm thinking about. Quick, let's move on because I got to get that out of my head. Listen, we've talked a lot about the idea of Nick Saban entertaining the idea of coming back to the NFL. Obviously, you lived through that the first time around in Miami, where it went well for a season, then it all went sideways. A lot of that was because they decided not to clear Drew Brees, but there's some other things that Nick sort of didn't handle the right way that first time around as a head coach in the NFL. What are your thoughts on that idea?
Wow, it's interesting. Bruce Arians said that the Giants is kind of a dream job for Nick Saban as it relates to the NFL. Nick didn't do a great job down here. The first season, Trey, as you pointed out, was pretty good. That really got down to, Trey, you're right, it really got down to Dante Culpepper and Drew Brees. The doctors gave, they checked off. They gave Dante Culpepper a check. They said stay away from Drew Brees, and the doctors were obviously very, very wrong. And, it's interesting because Dan and I talk about this all the time. If he had Drew Brees as his quarterback, does Alabama ever happen? Is Nick Saban still coaching for the Dolphins in the NFL? I don't know, and I guess we'll never know. It's just, listen, it's a different animal. Like, he has all the advantages in college football, and everything gets, everything is equalized when you go to the NFL. There's salary cap, there's, where you get a draft, is the draft pick you take, is the quarterback you take going to be the right quarterback? There are a lot of kind of mitigating factors there in terms of whether or not you're going to be successful in the NFL. I think I'd stay in college. I understand you want to challenge yourself. You want to do the one thing that you haven't been able to do, and that's be a successful NFL coach, and it's a dream job. But really, is this job a dream job with all the questions at quarterback and, just how bad the Giants are and all the injuries they had at wide receiver, and who knows what's going to happen with Brandon Marshall? I think I'd stay at Alabama, guys. What would you do? I mean, he hasn't made there. He's the highest paid employee in the state of Alabama, and anytime a coach gets a raise, he gets a raise. I think I'd stay right at Alabama and try to, go after Bear Bryant.
He's the only one that kind of laughs at Gruden's deal, saying 10 mil, I got that beat, and making the 11 mil that he does with everything
and
included.
And the boosters paid for his house.
Yeah,
Remember that? That was the best part. The boosters just said, you know what, don't worry about a mortgage with that $10 million.
The mortgage has been paid, yes.
Good. I wouldn't leave either, Stu. I've said players and coaches, everybody has different reasons for moving on. If a player moving for money, if they're moving for location, moving to try and get a ring, a coach either looking to step up, like Scott Frost from a UCF to a Nebraska, whatever anybody thinks about it. You have different reasons for it, and the only reason for Nick Saban would be, I somewhat failed here on the NFL side of it, so I want to prove that I can coach in that level. But I just think where he's at now and with his age and everything as well, why would he leave that environment?
He's proved it. Like, he's proved it. Can we all, he's the greatest coach we've ever seen. He's proved it. It's him or Belichick. Like, what else does he need?
That's the amazing thing is he can go down as maybe the greatest college coach of all time, Bill Belichick as the pro coach of all time. And now with the story coming out about what potentially is going on in New England, do you see any possibility that Bill Belichick leaves New England and ends up being the coach of the New York Football Giants, a place where he certainly has spent some time?
Leave Tom Brady for Eli Manning? Absolutely not. I mean, listen, we're laughing at all this stuff going on with Belichick and Brady and Bob Kraft. Meanwhile, they sat there like they always do with a bye week waiting to see what bad team they're going to play at home to get themselves to another AFC championship game. I could see it if the Giants actually had a good young quarterback that Bill Belichick, thought he could win with. But it's Eli Manning. That's who we're talking about. It's Eli Manning and a broken team with wide receivers that have a lot of question marks. I don't, Trey, can you see that? I cannot see Bill Belichick leaving New England at one seed in the AFC and a probable run to another Super Bowl this year.
Well, there's two things there. No, look, he's the only one of those three that can leave, and Robert Kraft is going to be the one that would let him to leave. So I don't think that's going to happen. But when you look at the Giants, I don't think you look at it as Eli Manning. I think you look at it as, I got Eli Manning, and then I can bring in with the number 2 pick basically whatever quarterback I want. And I think that makes it look a little different, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I guess you're right. Belichick would have to look at the draft and talk to some people and say, hey, is, X quarterback going to be a great quarterback for the next 15 years or so? I guess maybe if he had some confidence, because he has that draft pick, and that's a great point, Trey. If he has some confidence in a quarterback who's, coming out this year and going to be in the NFL next year, then maybe he takes that job. But you're still leaving Tom Brady for an unknown rookie quarterback,
Yeah, look, you're exactly right. And again, it's up to Kraft really to decide whether or not Bill Belichick is going to go anywhere because, that's how John Gruden got to Tampa Bay. They traded him, and Bob Kraft has already said, I'm not going to trade Bill Belichick. But there are going to be some changes, Stu, in that New England Patriots organization. That leads us to the beef stew. What's a bigger beef? More beef with the hype for the Patriots assistants or with the teams who keep hiring them as head coaches?
The teams that keep hiring them as head coaches. I get the hype behind the assistant coaches. I mean, they're the guys that are the closest to Belichick, and you think some of that stuff rubs off on them. But how much proof do we need to see to know that it doesn't rub off on his assistant coaches? Not one of them has had any sort of success when they have left Bill Belichick, and these teams keep falling for it every single time. Whether it's Charlie Weiss, whether it's Romeo Crennel, whether it's Josh McDaniel who left and came back. None of these guys have had success. And why? because Tom Brady's not on the team. We can talk about who deserves a lion's share of the credit for what the Patriots have done. Guys, it gets down to good quarterback play. They have the greatest quarterback who's ever played. And when you leave New England, you no longer have that quarterback. And teams keep thinking that these coaches, Matt Patricia, and again with Josh McDaniels, they keep thinking that just because they merely stood next to Bill Belichick, that they're going to be able to turn that franchise into the New England Patriots. No. What turned the New England Patriots into the New England Patriots was Tom Brady. And if you don't have him, you're not going to be that successful. So with me, it's the teams, guys. These teams keep falling for it just because you have guys who have stood close to Bill Belichick. It's not going to rub off.
What's interesting is all the backup quarterbacks that left New England that were backups that got deals somewhere else. Not one of them has had better than a 500 record when they left. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy GQ as they call him, could be different there the way he started out. How about, again, it's not where you are, but in Jacksonville, with Jacksonville playing Pittsburgh, they beat them already this year. But in the big picture, what this team has in front of them, even they picked up Blake Bortles' fifth-year option. You see him continuing on as the quarterback of this team after this year?
Oh, wow. We've had a lot of fun with him. Chris Sims has come on our show every single day. He said that Blake Bortles was the 70th best quarterback in the NFL. He had Chad Henne ranked ahead of him. Chad Henne's the backup. It's Blake Bortles' backup. So, I don't know. This is a tough one. Listen, it obviously depends on what happens here, and if they win, then what happens next week. I mean, it's pretty hard to not bring back a quarterback if he gets you to an AFC championship game. I don't know listen, he's one of the final 8 quarterbacks left in the NFL. The defense is fantastic. They have some weapons on offense. They have a good running game, a good offensive line. He seems to be the weakness, yet he's one of the final 8 quarterbacks. This is a very difficult decision because a lot of people think if they had a mediocre quarterback that this would be a Super Bowl team. What do you guys think? I think Blake Bortles will be back next year. I think it's hard to get rid of a guy when he gets you to the final 8, maybe the final 4 here in the NFL. What do you guys think? I think he'll be back next year.
Well, the question is, did he get him there or did the team get him there? I mean, look, Doug Marrone at sort of the beginning of the season said, hey, we want to throw like 8 passes a game. And that's sort of the way they've won. Look, I think they picked up his option.
Trey, he had 3 weeks where he was the highest rated quarterback in the NFL.
3 straight weeks. First time in his career, weeks 13, 14, 15, multiple touchdown passes, no interceptions in 3 straight games. And then the last 2 weeks of the regular season, 2 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, and we saw yips basically.
With all the quarterbacks that can be available, the quarterbacks that can be available outside of the draft this year, Stu, your window of opportunity is only open for so long, and right now, this Jacksonville window is wide open with what they have. I wouldn't waste any more time. I would get a quarterback that I felt more comfortable with.
All right, so Mike, help me out here because you played on a legendary defense. So you're a guy on that defense. You're a guy on Jacksonville's defense right now. Okay, you want a different quarterback in there? You absolutely like the Jacksonville defense. They're saying to themselves, "Hey, if we had a good quarterback, we win a Super Bowl here. Go get a new guy."
Oh, to themselves privately? Yes. Oh, there's no doubt they think, man, if we had a quarterback. My year when we thought in Philly we were going to go to the Super Bowl in '91 and Randall got hurt in week 1 against Green Bay, we were like, oh my God. And we went through a bunch of different quarterbacks and obviously we didn't get there. We really thought that could have been our year. Yeah, I think now publicly or to each other in the locker room, they're obviously supporting Blake Bortles saying don't listen to the noise. But I think deep down they would be like, if we had a good quarterback, boy, the sky could really be the limit for where we are right now. Because where they are right now, you don't stay that way forever. You only have a limited amount of time.
Look at Seattle. Look at what's happening in Seattle that is built on that great defense, and suddenly that's falling apart with them with all the changes that may be coming.
But one quick question, one quick follow-up on that, guys. So let's just play out this hypothetical. Blake Bortles has a great game this weekend. He's the reason his team advances, not the defense. He's the reason his team advances to the AFC Championship game, and then they get blown out by New England the next week. Do you look at that 1 week where he got you through Pittsburgh to the AFC Championship game, Mike, or do you look at the entire body of work here?
To me, you can't hang your hat on 1 week. You can't do it. You got to look at the big picture. And he did have 3 big weeks. I get that as well. A couple of years ago, he had 4,000 yards passing. I get that. You have to look at the total, I think, of this. But they did pick up his option for the 5th year.
But it's a manageable option. Remember, Mike Glennon sat on the bench for $14 million for the latter half of the season because they went with Mitchell Trubisky. So there's a way to make it work that you bring him back, but he may not be the guy that plays throughout the entire season. we'll see how that shakes out beginning this Sunday when they're up in Pittsburgh. Stugotz, I'm warming up the van so we can get ready to roll into Augusta. We'll stop at the Waffle House right outside, and then we'll crash the gates.
All right, Trey. Something tells me you played Augusta already. Something tells me you played it.
I have not. That's the one I need to get on the list, and I don't think riding with you in the minivan is going to get me there.
Probably not, Trey, but I feel like you and I need some bonding, a bonding weekend, and I feel like collectively you and I can get this done, Trey. We have enough pull, enough power to get this done.
That's pretty amazing. I've been invited to golf there 3 times, and I've turned it down each time. So
I don't like you at all.
Is it hard to get invited there?
I don't like
really?
you at all. I don't like you at all.
Really?
I'll work on that.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not.
My whole life, this is my life goal is to play that course, man.
I'll work on my tee time April when I have
Stu, I'll get you on. I'll get you on there. No worries.
Oh, that would be the worst.
Thank you, Mike. Well, what I meant by
that would be the
power and pull is Golic has it. Yes, Golic has the power and pull. Trey and I have nothing. We have nothing.
That would be the worst if you're the reason we got on Augusta. That would be hard to live with.
I wouldn't even want to play.
No, I'd rather go somewhere else. Stu, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
Yeah, all I can get is that image of us being Cousin Eddie now. That's all I'm thinking of. That's all I'm thinking about. And it might be the most accurate thing we've ever said on this show. All right, coming up next, we'll play a little Love It or Shove It. Whose coaching career is more impressive, Saban in college or Belichick in the NFL? Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Still lots to get to coming up. We'll have Stephen A. Smith in the next hour talk about the halfway point of the NBA season, the surprises and the things that he expects going forward. Plus, Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, will join us. Really excited to talk to him about what's in store in that matchup between him and the Minnesota Vikings, where they started their season, week 1 of the Monday Night Double Dip. The Saints were up in Minnesota, but both teams are vastly different, and you're just excited to talk to him about his newest naming.
Yes, I am. He has a beer named after him, and that, to me, trumps everything.
I can get on board with that. Yeah. I can. We're going to get on board with something else, though, right now. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it.
It's time for another edition of Love It or Shove It.
That didn't go well.
With Golic and Wingo.
All right, Love It or Shove It is here, brought to you by Grainger, and Bubba is back with us. Bubba, are you ready?
We're back. Hey, thanks to Grainger. Great job coming back 2018.
Love it.
For the ones who get it done, am I right?
You are right.
I'm wondering, do you're the board op on Mike and Mike for a number of years, and we would give you a lot of love.
Sure.
Cliff, now the board op for us here on Golic and Wingo, he's getting a ton of love, and I mean, the listeners and viewers, just piling the love on him. Is there a little bit of, jealousy going on there or what?
No, I'll tell you why. The big difference is,
oh, good God. Here
I was a board op, probably the best board op in Mike and Mike history, and then I transitioned to talent.
You did.
The difference is he's never going to be talent.
Time out. So you transitioned to talent?
Yeah. No, I just made that smooth transition. You may remember when I tried out for NFL Live and almost took your job.
Yeah. But wait, you didn't.
I was very close, though. I said, I'm going to focus on Love It or Shove It.
I like that. Respect.
I was like, hey,
I like that.
I'm going to focus on Love It or Shove It. Granger is doing a great job, so we'll get to it. But yeah, he's always going to be behind the glass.
I don't know, man. Cliff's got that smile. He's got that winning smile. Wow. You see it right there. I think we might. Why
does Bubba love hating on me? I don't get it. I show this guy so much love and respect. He's the OG here.
Cliff, did you learn from him? I mean,
how could I learn from Bubba? I just respect what he's done in the past for Mike and Mike. I can't necessarily learn from him. He can't teach me anything.
Wow.
See, look at the love he's showing you, and
I have no problem with him. You guys are bringing up this rivalry. I have no problem with Cliff. I'm just saying he works with the production staff.
Is it palpable?
I'm talent with you guys.
Is it palpable?
Wow. I mean, you could cut it with a knife.
Do you know who was supposed to be in this segment?
Who?
Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
Canceled for me. Not for Cliff. Canceled for me.
Well, that is a fair point.
Yeah.
That is a fair point.
We canceled one talent for another. We didn't cancel some board op who comes back with a cure.
You know why we did it? And you're
What's wrong with the cure now?
Ooh,
they're fine.
Okay, let's just step back from that line.
Okay, let's everybody take a deep breath here.
Take a deep breath.
Okay.
Cooler heads will prevail, and let us begin the Love It and Shove It experience.
Do it. Nick Saban's resume as a college coach is more impressive than Bill Belichick's resume as an NFL coach. Love it or shove it.
So Saban has won 6 titles in 22 seasons. Belichick has won 5 Super Bowls in 22 plus seasons as an NFL head coach. I would say you would think it'd be a little more difficult in the NFL when you're dealing with a salary cap. At Alabama, you don't want to say anything that's going to sound like it's slighting somebody, but when we're talking about these two, we know the talent that Alabama gets And you can't just load up on all the talent and pay all the top talent all the money in the pros because of the salary cap. So it has to be dispersed a little differently. And we know what players Bill Belichick has taken that you haven't heard of and turned them into, but with the help certainly of Tom Brady, into really good players. So while they're both unbelievable accomplishments and each may go down as the greatest coach in their profession, I would lean toward I would say I would shove that. I would shove that and go Bill Belichick.
Well, before I answer, I'd like to point out that the person that wrote this question was Cliff, the board op.
Oh.
So he has a writing credit in your talent appearance.
Wow.
Great job.
Throw that out there.
Real original question, because people haven't been talking about this for 2 days.
Well, then why, if you're the talent, you could have changed the question if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's not talent's job. Okay. My job is to read the questions, all right? I'm Ron Burgundy. You give me the question, I'm going to read it.
Be careful what you put on the prompter, then. Go blank yourself, San Diego. Okay, I'm going to go shove it as well, just because when you're Nick Saban, you go get the players you want. Sometimes in the NFL, the players you want aren't available. And I'm not taking anything away from Nick Saban. He has been an amazing job. But to your point, in the free agency era, the only constants in this 16-year run have been Belichick, Brady, and the owner, Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
Literally everything else has changed over a 16-year period. And I get every 3 or 4 years it changes with
mostly
players.
3.
Yeah, especially with him.
Yeah.
Mostly 3, but then you can always go get the new players.
Right.
And sometimes that's not the process.
Right.
Look, how many people suit up in a college football game?
About
80?
100.
Yeah, 80 to 100.
Depending travel, 60. So I'm with you.
Okay,
yeah.
You got 45 that you got to make it work with, and most of those guys for the latter half of that season are nowhere near healthy.
Right.
And you've got to make it work. So with that, I'm going to say shove it. I will always cede to Belichick in this area simply because of what he has to deal with in the free agency era of the NFL.
Right, what's next?
Blake Bortles comparing himself to LeBron James. Love it or shove it?
Again, Blake Bortles said there's a lot of people that think LeBron James stinks, so if that happens, I'm sure there will be a lot of people that will always think I stink. I think this headline got blown out of proportion. It turned into clickbait when Bortles compares himself to LeBron James. I understand what he was talking about, that he's just never going to win in some people's eyes, so I really have no problem with him saying that at all.
So is it a love it or shove it?
What would that be, a love it or shove it, Bubba?
I think you can qualify as both.
I'm not sure. I don't know what that answer was.
He's just the talent.
My answer is I didn't have a problem with what he did. So what in your eyes as talent, what would that be, a love it or shove it?
That's a love it.
Okay, there you go.
I'm going to go with a love it as well, if that's the qualifier, because I think that he's not comparing himself to LeBron James. I think he's just saying, look, everybody gets criticism.
Right.
Now, could it have been handled better and worded better? Absolutely. But I don't think he's comparing himself to LeBron James. I think he was using an analogy that was awkwardly worded.
There you go.
Just before we move on, I know Cliff is kind of new here, but I believe this segment's supposed to have music. So I don't know, do I have to be the board op too? Or?
Wow. This is
a new day here. We don't do music here.
This is a deep dive.
Especially for Bubba. This segment is trash, so therefore he doesn't deserve music.
We're gonna have a little. We're gonna have a little family meeting when the show is over. I believe today.
Great.
So let's continue with the trash on Love It or Shove It.
Matt Patricia would be a good fit as the next head coach of the Giants. Love it or shove it?
Patriots have had a top 10 defense all 6 seasons with Patricia as the D coordinator. Listen, at the end of the day, I have no idea how he's going to be a head coach. Correct. So let's go with the general term of why I say I'll love it. This is a locker room that started splintering. This is a locker room that started becoming individualistic. Did it not?
Yes.
And Matt Patricia, I don't know how he's going to be as a head coach, but we know the system that he comes from. We know the overall mentality of that locker room, all for one, one for all. We're all pulling on the chain the same way. It's discipline, all that. So from that side of it, I'd say that would be a good fit. I have no clue, as far as how a coordinator is going to be as a head coach. Time will tell. But the persona that is in that locker room for the Patriots, I think they could use a dose of that with the Giants. Guys are patting themselves and feeling a little bit too good about themselves in New York and pretty willing to point the finger somewhere else than look in the mirror a little bit.
So is that a love it or shove it?
That's a love it.
Okay.
That's a love it.
I'm going to go with love it as well. My only concern is you're exactly right. There needs to be one voice and do it this way, but that works in New England because they've won. Because Bill Belichick has won time and time again. And if Matt Patricia comes in there and has that sort of authoritarian thing, if they don't win, it won't matter. He's got to find a way to win. That being said, anybody that has an aeronautical engineering degree and literally could have been a rocket scientist, I'm all about him being a head coach in the NFL. So I will love the idea of Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, as a good fit for the head coach of the Giants.
Sunday will be Case Keenum's final game with the Vikings. Love it or shove it?
Wow. Keenum career high in completions, yards, TDs, quarterback rating this year. He's had a monster year. We know Teddy Bridgewater is healthy now. He's the backup. Bradford back to practicing again.
And again, all three of them are on expiring contracts. All three of them, Bradford, Keenum, and Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm going to say I love it. I think he's going to be done in Minnesota. I think he's going to move on. I think, these guys, it'll be interesting to see what they offer him to stay there or what he gets offered. And we've seen what quarterbacks get offered in free agency here to move around. So I think this.
But you're saying they lose then if this is Case Keenum's final game.
I'm sorry. It will be his final game. Ooh. Oh, so you're talking about from that side of it.
Do you want me to ask the question again? Or?
It's nuanced.
Sunday will be Case Keenum's final game with the Vikings.
I'm going to shove it. I think the Vikings win. So I'm going to shove it.
Yeah. I'm going to say shove it as well on a couple of reasons. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do like Minnesota in this contest. But I think they're going to they would like to find a way to both keep Bridgewater and Keenum. I don't know if it's possible because this is going to be the most unusual free agent market or we've ever seen in terms of veteran quarterbacks that may be available. Again, Bradford's going to be available, Bridgewater and Keenum. Then you've got what's going on with Eli Manning. You don't know there. Kirk Cousins. Jimmy Garoppolo is a free agent. He's a free agent. So, he may love San Francisco and San Francisco may love him, but Jimmy G gets to make the decision here.
Right.
This is going to be the most wide open quarterback market we've ever seen when the league year begins. I'm going to say shove it as well, though, because I think for a couple of reasons he may continue as a quarterback.
Bubba, the last one we're going to switch over to you. This is based off our social play today. Conor McGregor made $100 million in his fight or so, give or take, rented out Funderland, an amusement park in Dublin for family and friends to kind of thank everybody for, being on his side, blah, blah, that whole thing. So we threw out there, if you could rent out any venue for a night, anything for a night, what would it be?
I guess I'd probably have to rent out a concert venue. Doesn't matter where. Could be anywhere. And just load up with 90s bands, a lot of Keystone Light, and a lot of beer pong with my friends.
Well, the venue doesn't matter?
Nah,
Madison Square Garden as opposed to...
I think the smaller the better. So, like here in Connecticut, the Webster, you want a smaller Toad's Place.
Because you're going to have an intimate crowd,
intimate crowd. We got some great 90s bands. Whoever's still alive, they're playing. We'll bring them in. Hey, you're alive? Come play. Great. So we got Keystone Light, Busch Light in the back, beer pong. Let's go.
The qualification for Bubba's Ultimate Jam is: are you alive? Then come play music.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, you gotta have bars you can cross.
Although some people it probably won't cost that much money to get them in.
Well, again, this is a hypothetical, so you could spend as much money as you want.
Yeah. No, but I'm going to get a lot of Keystone Lights. So.
I think you're limiting yourself here. I think you need to think.
But
bigger.
it's what he wants to do.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a fun night.
That I can guarantee. Bubba is a fun guy.
You know who's not invited?
Cliff.
Oh boy,
Cliff, you're with me and Stugotz.
I'm glad I didn't get to. I promise you that I do not want to go anywhere.
Cliff, you're with me and Stugotz crashing the Masters. That's what we're doing.
We started a bad thing.
All right, that was Love It or Shove It, brought to you by Grainger, the products and services you need when you need them. Grainger's got your back to help keep your facility running. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Coming up, a music venue with a laughable policy and maybe the worst teammate ever. We'll explain that next on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. All right, Golic and Wingo here with you. And obviously the Celtics are doing great things this season in the NBA, specifically with their defense. Their defense has been choking a lot of people and great offenses out so far this season. But they're doing it without one of their key components.
Yeah, they are.
Of course, we all witnessed with horror what happened opening night. The Celtics lost in Cleveland, and Gordon Hayward that ankle went away. An ankle should not go. And he was done for the year. Now, then this happened. Celtics team president Danny Ainge tweeted a photo of Gordon Hayward out there not wearing an ankle brace. Hayward then quote tweeted it and added the eyes emoji.
Uh-oh.
People got all excited. Maybe Hayward could come back this season and get it going. And then Brad Stevens said no. In London, downplayed the buzz about what it might mean for Hayward's ability this season, saying, quote, I would say there's really nothing more to read into. Nothing changed with his timeline. This isn't like a huge ordeal. No change in our expectations. So basically he's saying, despite what you may think you're seeing and what may be happening, he's not going to play this season. And this, of course, happened in London.
In London.
So we thought we'd get the official London version.
With the town crier?
With the town crier of how this announcement might have gone down overseas. Hear ye,
Buckingham Palace hereby announces with delightful glee the resurgence of a member of the visiting Celtic people, Sir Gordon Hayward, following the horrific event known widely all over the world as the Ides of October, whilst his royal boot seems to be nigh, and he posteth the looky emoji to Twitter. A return seems near. 3 cheers. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! So, it is per order of Celtic Grand Master Braderick Stevens. It is with the heaviest of hearts I hand down the fate of one Gordon Daniel Hayward, whom's braceless ankle is hereby nothing to get excited about.
So close.
Sounds so much better when you hear it that way.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it?
It's always about the presentation.
It absolutely is.
It's always about the
Great job, Jared. Great job.
Kudos to Jerry
and Cliff are going to be battling 1 and 2 between, who's the best part of the show.
Just replace Bubba on show.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But the bottom line is, there was excitement. Well, wait a minute. Gordon Hayward may be back, and Brad Stevens saying, whoa. Let's pull the reins on that one a little bit. But
let's throw some water on
just
that
the fact of how you saw his foot facing the wrong way now he's out of that thing and moving around is really, really incredible.
Okay, we teased this before.
Yeah.
Maybe the worst teammate ever that we talked about. You want to divulge exactly what we're talking about there?
Yoshiro Suzuki, okay, this is about kayaking in the Olympics. Was expected to represent his country at the 2020 Olympics, but will no longer be doing so after he admitted for one of his rivals, he spiked his drink. He spiked his drink with steroids.
But that's his teammate. A teammate would have been a teammate on his
one of his closest, but maybe he wouldn't have made the team.
That's the part.
I'm thing,
dude, really?
Yeah. The Komatsu tested positive for a banned substance at the national championships in September, but vehemently denied he took any drugs. And he said that led to an investigation by the Japan Canoe Federation, which led to Suzuki admitting he spiked Komatsu's drink. Suzuki was trying to prevent Komatsu from being selected ahead of him to compete at the Olympics, and this apparently is not the first time he's tried to sabotage a countryman. Supposedly other times he has taken their equipment, hidden their equipment, or damaged their equipment of his countrymen.
Worst teammate ever.
Holy smokes.
Worst teammate ever. How long is he banned for?
He's banned for 8 years.
Which is effectively ending his Olympic career.
Japan's doping agency announced that he has been hit with an 8-year ban.
Wow.
As well he should be.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well,
wow.
I admire the effort on some level, but my goodness, I mean, you really got to not like that guy. Coming up, Kevin Durant's second youngest player to 20,000 points last night. We'll talk to Stephen A. Smith about that and much more. Second half of the NBA season.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more. Like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick. Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.